everybody, happy weekend. Today, I just wanted to show you guys the project that I did. I'm usually really busy with mowing around this time of year, but in our area, it really hasn't rained much, so it's not growing. So this is time where I get other projects in. I have done a couple of mulch jobs this week, and then I've also got this painting job that I've done, and I'll put the before and after pictures in here. But as you can see, it looks pretty nice. It's always a learning curve when I'm doing projects like this. I do plan on going into painting, like interior painting and exterior painting, in the off season and times when, like in the middle of the summer when it's just too hot and the grass isn't growing. I can move into projects like this as well as other projects in the business like bush trimming and mulching. So as you can see, I learned a lot. The one section that I noticed that does need to be done a little bit more is I need to get along here with a little bit of paint for the trim, because I learned that when you tape the section and then you pull it off, it tore a little bit of paint off. Same with here, but I'm learning, so I'll just hit that with a little small brush. I also noticed now that I'm finished painting the rest of the door, it's more noticeable that the hinges, the paint on the hinges is peeling off. I mean, the hinges are 20 years old, so I'm surprised they're not in worse shape, but they just need to be hit up with a little bit of black spray paint. You can especially tell it on this hinge because it's showing a lot of the silver, and along the bolts and stuff it's showing too. So I just need to hit up these areas, and I'll probably show a video on how to do that possibly. So with this door, it was originally red, and all the doors on our house are either blue or white. So we wanted to paint the doors of our shed the same color as the doors of our house. So we put on this blue paint that we had left over from painting the other doors. So I got along here, and it looks pretty nice. This took 2 coats, because I usually do use 2 coats because it just looks a lot better when you're doing 2 coats, and honestly not doing 2 coats, it does look pretty bad. So the first coat was like really dull. Because I was painting on top of red, you can still see the red through the blue paint. First, the first step of this project was going over to Lowe's to get any materials that I did need. Since I do mostly interior painting as of now, I went and got a small 4-inch roller so that I could get along the smaller surfaces like these flat areas of the door along with these areas, just because I feel like it looks a little bit better than brushing it all with a brush. But then I also needed to get another small brush because the brushes that I use are little cheap, like $1-2 brushes. So I don't really save them because they get too crusty by the time I'm done doing the jobs. So like you can tell that like I got in here with the paint brushes, and it looks really smooth. And then I also got like inside of the door, I got with a paintbrush, and then along the top, I also got along the bottoms a little bit with the paintbrush, and then just around the smaller areas, like along the corners, I needed to do it with the paintbrush because the paint roller can't get that close to stuff. And then along this door handle, I had to get it around that with the brush too, just because this sticks out too much that I can't get a roller under it. But it really, I think in the end it looks nice. But first I went to Lowe's, I got all the materials, the paint roller, the paint brush. I have the paint trays where you put the paint into. I have that from previous jobs. And I also had sandpaper left over. The second part of the process was the door was pretty dirty from all the pollen and residue from everything. So I wiped it all down so that it sticks a lot better, and dried it off. Because it wasn't that warm, but it was warm enough where I let it dry itself. And in the process, I got along the edges with sandpaper. Like one of the edges was getting a little bit rough, so I just sanded it to be smooth along here, and then that way it looks a lot better and sticks better. And by the time I was done sanding it, the doors were dry, so it was ready to get started. After I wiped down the doors, I taped up the edges. I taped up along the top here, along the sides of the trim, and along the door hinges, um, just because I didn't want to get the hinges or the trim with any paint, because this type of paint does not like to come off really easily if you get it anywhere. And I don't usually get a lot of paint over the trim and everything, but it just looks bad when you get a little drop of it along. So that was the third step in the process. And then the fourth step was I put on the first coat of paint. So I used the roller to get all the smooth areas, and I used the paintbrush to get in here. And then when I was waiting for it to dry, I went inside and did other chores around the house. And then I came out and it was dry about an hour later. So I put on a second coat, and the second coat was really all it needed, because it looked really nice after a second coat, and I didn't think that it needed a third coat. So those are the steps that I used in painting the store. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Get to work.